World panics. Iran strikes U.S. base 4,000 kilometers away. Breaking right now. The world is holding its breath. Iran just launched a strike 4,000 kilometers away, hitting a U.S. base thousands of miles from Iranian soil. Missiles in the sky, alarms blaring, troops scrambling. Is this the moment the conflict goes global? If you are watching this, your heart is probably racing. You have seen the headlines flashing across your screen. You have heard the claim that seems to defy geography itself. Iran has struck a United States military base not in the Middle East, not in the Gulf, but 4,000 kilometers away, deep in a region previously thought beyond Tehran's reach. This is not a drill. This is not speculation. This is a developing crisis that could redefine the boundaries of modern warfare, challenge assumptions about deterrence, and force every nation with stakes in global security to reconsider what is possible. Welcome to Power Clash Report. We are interrupting our scheduled coverage because a claim has just emerged that demands your immediate attention. We are moving beyond the viral headlines and the panic-inducing narratives to examine what actually happened, whether a strike at this range is even feasible, what world panicking really means for global stability, and what this escalation could mean for you, for your security, and for the future of international conflict. Stay with me. Do not look away, because what you learn in the next few minutes could help you understand and prepare for a world where distance no longer guarantees safety. Let us begin with the facts, because in a moment of fear, facts are your anchor. On March 25, 2026, multiple regional and international sources reported that Iran launched a long-range ballistic missile strike targeting a United States military installation approximately 4,000 kilometers from Iranian territory. While the exact location of the base has not been officially confirmed by U.S. authorities, analysis of flight trajectories, regional geography, and strategic positioning suggests potential targets could include facilities in Central Asia, the Eastern Mediterranean, or even forward operating locations previously considered outside the range of conventional Iranian missile systems. Iranian state media has reportedly claimed responsibility for the attack, describing it as a strategic response to ongoing hostilities and a demonstration of Tehran's expanded deterrence capability. However, as of this recording, there is no definitive on-the-record confirmation from the United States Department of Defense, U.S. Central Command, or allied military commands that a U.S. base has been struck, damaged, or compromised by Iranian fire. Reputable international news agencies have not independently verified the claim. This distinction is critical. In the fog of conflict, attribution is everything. Acting on unverified claims can trigger real-world consequences that cannot be undone. Now let us examine the claim that Iran struck a target 4,000 kilometers away. From a technical perspective, this is not impossible. Iran has been developing long-range ballistic missile capabilities for years. Systems like the Khorramshahr-4 and the Sejil-2 are reported to have ranges exceeding 2,000 kilometers, with some variants potentially reaching 3,000 kilometers or more under optimal conditions. However, 4,000 kilometers represents a significant leap, one that would require advances in propulsion, guidance, and re-entry vehicle technology that have not been publicly demonstrated by Iranian defense industries. If Iran did indeed strike a target at this range, it would signal a profound evolution in their strategic capabilities. It would mean that Tehran has either 1. Developed new missile technology in secret, 2. Received external assistance from a partner with advanced ballistic missile expertise, or 3. Employed an alternative delivery method, such as a drone with extended range, a covertly positioned launch platform, or a novel hybrid system. Each possibility carries different implications for regional security, non-proliferation efforts, and the global balance of power. But capability is not the same as confirmation. And confirmation is not the same as context. Without verified evidence, satellite imagery of launch sites, radar tracking data, debris analysis, or official military assessments, we must treat this claim with extreme caution. This is not skepticism for its own sake. It is responsible analysis in a high-stakes environment where misinformation can trigger panic, market manipulation, or even military miscalculation. Let us talk about the strategic dimension, because this is where the stakes become real. If Iran can reliably strike targets 4,000 kilometers away, the map of vulnerability changes overnight. Bases previously considered safe due to distance, in Europe, Central Asia, or even parts of Africa, could suddenly be within reach. This would force a fundamental reassessment of force posture, base hardening, and defensive investment by the United States and its allies. It would also empower Iran's diplomatic position. The ability to threaten distant targets grants leverage in negotiations, deters adversaries from escalation, and signals to regional partners that Tehran remains a potent strategic actor. Now, let us address the claim that the world is panicking. This phrase suggests a global reaction of fear and uncertainty. However, international responses to crises are rarely monolithic. Some nations may indeed express alarm, particularly those with troops stationed at potentially vulnerable bases. Others may see opportunity. Adversaries may amplify the claim to challenge U.S. credibility, while allies may rally to reinforce collective defense. Markets may react with volatility, but they also adapt. The appearance of global panic can be a strategic narrative as much as a reflection of reality. Understanding the difference is essential to avoiding misinterpretation. Let us examine the human dimension, because this is where the impact becomes personal, immediately. If a U.S. base was indeed struck, there are service members, young men and women far from home, whose lives are at stake. Families are waiting for news. There are communities near the base that could be affected by fallout, evacuation orders, or secondary attacks. For the troops, every alarm is a test of training and courage. For the families, every moment of uncertainty is agony. For the public, every headline fuels anxiety. At Power Clash Report, we commit to covering the strategy without losing sight of the stakes. We will verify before we amplify, and we will humanize before we politicize. There is also the information warfare dimension. In the digital age, the first narrative to spread often becomes the dominant one, regardless of accuracy. The claim that Iran struck a U.S. base 4,000 kilometers away may serve multiple purposes for different actors. For hardliners in Tehran, it could justify further escalation and rally domestic support. For partisan media elsewhere, it could fuel anti-American sentiment or, conversely, cheerleading for maximum pressure. For malicious actors, it could be an opportunity to sow discord, manipulate markets, or test information resilience. As consumers of information, our responsibility is to seek verification, consult credible sources, and resist the urge to share unconfirmed reports. This is not about censorship. It is about clarity. We will update this coverage as verified information emerges. Let us consider the regional implications. The Middle East is a complex web of alliances, rivalries, and proxy relationships. A long-range strike capability changes the calculus for every actor in the region. Gulf Arab states may accelerate investments in missile defense. Israel may reassess its own deterrence posture. Turkey, Iraq, and other neighbors may seek to avoid being drawn into escalation. The region is a tinderbox. A single spark can ignite a wildfire. What about the global response? Major powers like China and Russia have significant stakes in the narrative of American vulnerability. Beijing and Moscow have invested heavily in long-range precision strike capabilities and would likely amplify any confirmed Iranian success to challenge U.S. global leadership. European allies who host U.S. bases and contribute to collective defense would be closely monitoring the incident for implications for their own security. The international community would urge restraint, but without consensus on attribution or response, diplomatic efforts may struggle to gain traction. Now, let us address the technical reality of the 4,000-kilometer strike. Ballistic missiles follow predictable trajectories governed by physics. To reach a target 4,000 kilometers away, a missile must achieve sufficient velocity, maintain guidance accuracy over extended flight time, and survive atmospheric re-entry. Each of these challenges requires sophisticated engineering. If Iran has overcome them, it represents a significant technological achievement. If not, the claim may reflect exaggeration, misattribution, or confusion with a different event. Understanding the mechanics helps demystify the claim without diminishing the very real implications if it is true. Let us examine the economic stakes, because this is where the impact becomes personal in a different way. Global markets react to perceived risk. A confirmed long-range strike capability could trigger volatility in defense stocks, energy markets, and currency exchanges. Insurance premiums for assets in potentially vulnerable regions could rise. Supply chains that depend on regional stability could be affected. For consumers, this can mean higher prices for goods, services, and security. For investors, it can mean navigating increased uncertainty. This is how a single incident involving one missile can affect portfolios, budgets, and economic planning thousands of miles away. So, what happens next? There are several possible scenarios. In the most contained, investigations conclude the reports were exaggerated, misattributed, or referred to a different event, and the incident does not trigger wider escalation. In a more escalatory scenario, the U.S. confirms a base was struck, attributes it to Iranian action, and launches targeted retaliation, triggering a cycle of action and reaction that expands the conflict. In a diplomatic scenario, back-channel communications de-escalate the situation, using the incident as a catalyst for renewed dialogue on rules of engagement, crisis communication, and strategic stability. The outcome depends on intelligence assessments, political calculations, and the fragile mechanisms of crisis management. What can you do as an informed citizen? First, stay informed through credible sources. Follow official statements from governments, international organizations, and reputable news agencies. Be skeptical of viral claims that lack verification. Second, understand the broader context. This is not an isolated event. It is part of a complex, multi-layered conflict with deep historical roots and global ramifications. Third, engage constructively. Share verified information. Support humanitarian efforts for those affected by violence. Advocate for policies that prioritize diplomacy and civilian protection. At Power Clash Report, we believe that knowledge is power. Understanding geopolitical events helps us make better decisions, protect our families, and contribute to a more stable world. Before we conclude, let us recap the key points. A claim has emerged that Iran launched a ballistic missile strike on a U.S. base approximately 4,000 kilometers from Iranian territory. Iranian sources have reportedly claimed responsibility, but U.S. military authorities have not confirmed the incident. If verified, this would represent a significant technological and strategic development with profound implications for deterrence, force posture, and global security. The claim that the world is panicking may overstate the uniformity of international reaction, but reflects genuine concerns about escalation dynamics. The human, economic, and security stakes are substantial, affecting service members, markets, allies, and the global balance of power. The path forward depends on verification, restraint, and responsible communication from all parties. The choice before the world's leaders is stark. They can allow fear and speculation to drive policy, risking a spiral of escalation. Or they can rely on intelligence, verification, and strategic patience to manage crises without surrendering to panic. History will judge this moment not by the weapons fired, but by the wisdom with which they are answered. As citizens of an interconnected world, we have both the right and the responsibility to demand clarity over chaos, evidence over emotion, and truth over virality. If this analysis provided value, please like this video, subscribe to Power Clash Report, and share it with someone who needs to understand these developments. Turn on notifications so you do not miss our updates as this story evolves. In the description below, you will find links to official sources, fact-checking resources, and further reading on this developing situation. We are committed to bringing you signal in a world of noise. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay safe. And remember, in a world of increasing uncertainty, clarity is the most valuable asset we have.